right, we're back. Episode 26.
We're back.
Pretty insane. I read a thing the other day that 90% of podcasts don't make it to the 20th episode.
Wow.
So no big deal with the top 10%.
We're literally 90th percentile.
Speaking of the top 10%, we have a really cool guest on today, Rafael Cedeno from Foreign Auto Haas. He's been all over the place. Grew up in the East Coast, spent his 20s in Miami, and made his way up to El Dorado Hills. He's owned all kinds of different businesses, has his hand in everything, and we love these kind of guests that are entrepreneurs, self-made, and we're excited to have him explain his story. So let's, I guess, start from the beginning. Like, where did the hustle start? You were New York area, right? So New York, right?
Grew up in New York, New Jersey. Yep. Grew up very, very rough, very, very poor. Like, there was like nothing like how it is in California, So grew up in the streets. My mother and father are still together. 2 brothers. Grew up very, very rough. And I remember I left my house at 15. Got in some trouble with some friends. Ended up in jail for a little bit. Then I started messing around with some cars, and then a friend of mine got me involved with BMW, and then started working for a dealership, and I put a lot of years into BMW, decided to retire at 33. That's what moved me out to California.
So you retired at 33?
Yeah, from BMW. I started working for the dealership at 33 because I felt as though I was wasting my time with them.
And so were you basically like a manager or technician? Got it.
I did that, and I remember I left the dealership, and then I went to work for this guy. His name is Dave Baker. I know this guy's Dave Baker, right? So he was a technician. He owned an independent shop, and then I worked for him for a little bit. And believe it or not, that was more college than anything else for me because this man really, really knew how to run his business. He grew up as a technician, and he took me in and he showed me the ropes. And at first I thought he was kind of crazy the way he ran his business. But at the end, now that I own a business and everything, I kind of stuck to how he ran his business. He was very, very strategic. He kept everything simple. He kept, he didn't go crazy. And he made a lot of money doing it. So he taught me that. And then, like I said, I was living in Miami, living the wild life. Even though I was working, had a good career, still living the wild life there. And then,
tell me about Miami's in your 20s, dude. I can't even imagine. I see. Put that a little closer.
Yeah, it's like going to the U. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
I see like some of the movies. Like people see like how Miami is now and how it was when I was in Miami. It was in the 90s, early 90s when I moved there, like 94 or 95. I remember I moved to Miami, where it was like South Beach there were still senior citizens living on South Beach in condos and stuff. And I remember like when I moved over there, like, okay, it was cool, it was hot, and then it just started getting like growing, like in regards to like more and more like celebrities and rich people started coming to Miami. But when I went there, it wasn't really like that when I went there. And then I started seeing it transitioning where it started getting more and more and more people started migrating to Miami from the north to the south. And I remember like it reminded me of like how Sacramento was probably 15 years ago. It was kind of dead, kind of slow, a little bit busy, but
still not dead, or
no. It was it reminded me of that. Yeah, so Sacramento was kind of slow too. But when I first went to Miami, it was still fast paced, but it was still slow. It was kind of slow. I mean, it's way to what it is now. It's super busy now, so very fast paced business. So I worked for BMW there, and then I started doing like gray market stuff, like work with some guys bringing in European cars in from Europe, gray market stuff, and I was helping out federalizing those cars. And I dabbled in a bunch of different things, and then was single, and I was single for many years.
Single in Miami,
smart,
single, and
smartest decision you made down there.
And literally, I remember like it was a lot of women, and I lived pretty well. I made a very, 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 very good living, and then I remember, and then I ended up having a daughter from some random woman there, and I thought that was gonna like end my life, but I pushed through all that. I dealt with it and became a father, supported the kid, and was in her life and everything. And then I decided to settle down. I said I'm gonna settle down. So then I met my ex-wife, and she's from California, and she was out there kind of trying to get her life straightened out, and we met each other, and then I met her, and we hit it off and everything, and then she disappeared for like a year and a half.
Wait, so did you have the daughter with her, or
No,
just
no,
someone?
no. This is before we.
So you get married in Miami.
I got married and I met her and met her. So let me make sure to get back.
Yeah.
So I met her. We started kind of messing around, just talking a little bit, and then she just vanished.
But you were married?
No, I wasn't married.
Oh, no,
yet.
not married.
I wasn't
Okay.
married yet, right? So then I was like, man, she was cool, good girl and everything, and then she vanished. She was gone for like a year and a half. I didn't see her or anything. And then I had a friend of mine say, hey, let's go out, let's go out. So we went out and I ran into her. A year and a half later, I ran into her, and I remember, I ran into her, and then from that day forward, I was with her because me and her were cool from the beginning. So then got her pregnant. Well, I proposed, was going to get married, and then she ended up getting pregnant before we got married, so we had to speed up the wedding. Then we got married, and then she decided to say, hey, you know what? I want to move to California to be around my family.
Wait, where the hell did she go for a year
Yeah, I was
and a
just
half?
gonna say, wait a minute.
She came back home.
So she just left.
She left. She went back home, and then she was here for a little while, and then she went back out there.
And she just kind of shut off her phone and just,
She lost her. I changed her phone and everything. 'Cause
Wow.
At that time, it was I think the best phone you could get was like a Metro PCS.
Yeah.
At the time.
yeah, and there
No,
was
that's true. It was harder to find people
No
at that
social
point. So
media.
yeah,
There was
Yeah.
no social media. I think MySpace was like the biggest thing at that
You could have written her a letter. You know what I mean? Like, operator, can you help me find this person? Like, what? 411? What are we doing here?
Yeah. So, and then like I said, I met her, and so then we came back, and then we hit it off. Like I said, so we had a great, I had a great marriage, long time marriage, and then at the end, it didn't work out. I recently got divorced, and so when I moved to California, I worked for this guy in Sacramento just because I wanted to know the area. I knew how to do business very, very well. I just didn't know California, how to do business in California. I knew no vendors. I knew nothing. And when I came out here to Sacramento area, I met a couple of guys that were in the business, really good guys, some Armenians that were in the business, and I kind of became good friends with them. And then I decided to open up my shop in El Dorado Hills. I got the opportunity to open up my shop in El Dorado Hills. I'm telling you, it was probably like a God-sent thing. I was working for somebody, and I decided to want to open up my business, and then this gentleman that was a customer came into the shop. His name is Doug Wheely, so you guys know his name. And he asked the owner, hey, would you consider opening up another location in El Dorado Hills? And the guy was like, no, I'm not interested in that. But I said, I am. And so he went, he tried to put the deal together.
So you were listening to what he was saying
That
to
was
the
the
owner?
manager of the business.
Yeah, that's smart. We talked about this. We had a multimillionaire nutrition guy, and his big thing is saying yes and being there and making that step forward, and then figuring out. So now you say yes. You're like, all right, what the hell do I do now?
So then we go to the location in El Dorado Hills, and it was kind of ironic. I'm trying to open up a European repair shop, and the owner of the building was the owner of Mercedes-Benz of El Dorado Hills. He was the owner of the building, so it was kind of like. And so, remember, I'm a young guy, 30, I think I was 32 at the time, and I had no credentials. Nobody knew who I was in California, and I'm trying to pursue this business. Now this is 2007. Now the economy's crashing, everybody's losing their houses, and I'm over here in El Dorado Hills trying to open up this 8,000 square foot European repair shop, while all these dealerships and everything are going out of business, and people were telling me, you're crazy, I can't believe you could. Even down to my father-in-law at the time, he was like, there's no way, you're going to fail. Everybody, you're going to fail, And I said, no, I'm telling you, this is the perfect time to open up a business. So got the lease. I remember the owner of the building, he goes to me, if you're serious, you're going to come back with $30,000 cash. I said, okay. I went to the bank, came back, and I gave it to him. Here you go, I'm serious. And so I opened up the business, and I remember from the day I opened up the business, we were busy. I'm talking about busier than ever, because I did a lot of advertising as the construction was going on. I remember I used there was a car wash next door, and there was some Mexican guys working there, and I go, hey, you guys want to pass out some flyers for me, and I pay you? And they would go through all the parking lots of El Dorado Hills and Folsom and put these little cards, opening soon, or European repair shop. And I was next to a car wash that had high visibility. And so they had like a lot of drive-through. And so when I opened, I even kept the original appointment book because everything was doing everything by hand. From the day I opened, I had work. And we thrived. Our first 10 months of business in 2007, we grossed $1 million.
Wow. It's not bad for your first.
Not at all.
It's really good.
That was a lot. That was in that time. And what saved me the most was where a lot of the people that I was dealing with were going through financial hard times because of what had happened to the economy. They were about to lose their houses. So I had a lot of compassion for the customers. A lot of them, I would let them pay me. I mean, I think at one point I had probably $200,000 on the books, people owing me. And they would come there every week and pay me. And that saved me too. Just being generous to the community saved me and kept my business pushing through. And I had, like I said, it wasn't, I almost lost the business twice. I mean, that's how hard it was for me when I had this business. I almost lost the business twice. And I remember like I had asked my father-in-law, you know, to help me open the business, you know, and he shot it down. And then like my second year of business, I already put my second year under the belt, and then my father-in-law, we had dinner at the in-laws' house at the time, right? And I said, hey, I want you to come and look at my books, because he had a couple of businesses too, and he was the book guy. And when I showed him my books, he was like in shock. He was like, are you making that? I can't believe you're making that much money. He's like, I told you, like, this is like a really good business. But again, I don't know business. Taxes were an issue for me, learning about getting through the taxes and paying all that. It's on a big learning curve for me. And so he worked for me. He ended up working for me.
Crazy.
He lost his businesses, and then he was working for me. And don't get me wrong, he's a good guy. You know, he just, you know.
That's kind of ironic. Like, help me out, give me some money, and then he's like, no.
And then
you give him a job.
And then he was my guy for like a couple of years, and then did that. And then
so did you, like, I don't mean to get too personal, but when you showed up in El Dorado Hills, did you have a pretty big stack of money, or was this like you're all in?
I had money and I borrowed money.
Okay.
So because it was expensive to get in.
Yeah, because you get the lifts and all that stuff's really expensive. And European, you got to get really expensive stuff, right?
Very expensive stuff.
Yeah.
And so what I did was I was very, very smart. So I ended up meeting this guy who did equipment installs, right? And so he told me, I said, you know, I want to buy some equipment. And then I said, I know that a lot of these dealerships are going out of business. Well, this guy was the one that was taking the equipment out of the dealerships, you know, when the dealerships went down. So he told me about, I think it was Turner Volvo in Sacramento, before Nilo bought them. They were going out, their service department was going out of business. So I went there, and I went there and picked everything out that I wanted, all the lifts, the reels, and it was all used stuff. It was nothing new. Everything's all used, and we had to paint all the lifts nice and clean again and fix all the reels and everything. And like I said, I was very, very smart in regards to what I needed to open the business. And then I said, once I got the business open, then I was going to start putting money back into the business. And as the business started making income and we were doing well, I would buy like better equipment. You know, I'd buy cheaper equipment, then I would buy better equipment. And then it got to the point that I had to start buying like really good equipment because the business was just so profitable, and we had to start spending money and expensing. And you learn a lot when you own a business when you're doing that.
Oh, so. Yeah. But if it failed, you're in a whole heap of trouble, right? This was like I'm yes. all in on this. Let's make this happen.
At no time I gave myself an option to fail. I had no family here. It was just me and my ex-wife at the time and my two kids. I had two young little kids. I remember when I opened the business, I had a 1-year-old son and a 2-year-old daughter.
It's a lot of pressure.
A lot of pressure.
Yeah, so I remember that. So I remember that and we pushed through. Like we pushed through, you know, staffing, and then I had some good guys working for me, and then I had ups and downs of staffing, and that was a struggle. And then learning how to manage the staff was another thing that I had to learn, and be patient and compassionate to my staff, because I was the type of owner where I didn't put up with like I was working 12, 15 hours a day. So I'm like, you know, if I'm not lazy, why are you being lazy? So got through that. And then we were already 8 years into the business, and it's a good story here. 8 years into the business, and this gentleman from South Carolina calls my business, and his name is, I think it's Michael or something like that. He goes, do you want to sell your business? And I go to him, I said, well, people call me all the time, want to ask me if I'm selling the business. If you're serious, you'll come see me. This guy flew out from South Carolina. So this guy was part of some company, and what they were doing, they did acquisitions for big groups, like the Caliber, massive acquisition they did nationwide.
Caliber Collisions, those guys, yeah.
His company was the one that did all the acquisitions for and set the deals up for these big corporations. And so he comes to me and says, I have a company that wants to buy your business, a big company, but he wouldn't tell me who it was. And I said, well, I can't. So he wants me to, I said, well, I need you to tell me who it is. I said, because I'm not going to release my financials. We signed NDAs. I said, signing NDAs are fine. I said, but I want to make sure I'm not releasing my financials to just Joe Schmo. I want to release my financials to a big company. And we went through this back and forth with the NDA, and then he finally told me, he says, okay, we're going to give you the NDA. So he says, you'll sign it, and then we're going to turn around and flip the letter and let you know who it was. So I signed the NDA, and it ended up being AAA Insurance. National, big company. Like, they were interested in the business. They were interested in the philosophy of the business, the model of the business, and they were breaking through into the automotive repair industry in California, which was great. It's good for business, for everybody. And negotiated this deal with them. It took 2 years to get the deal closed. I ended up selling the business originally to them, 7 figures, first independent shop, and I didn't own the land either. I just only owned the business.
Oh, interesting.
And sold the business to them, and then I retired again.
And how old were you at that point?
I was like 43.
It's a good payday, 7
43.
figures. Yeah.
You're like Michael Jordan, just a few years in, retire. A few years in, retire.
Yeah.
I love it.
And then did they make you sign a no compete clause, right? For how long?
12 months.
What? God, that's such an amazing deal for you. It's like if they would have said like 8 years, you'd probably like, okay.
I would have said
no. But
I would've done
12
it.
months, you get a little vacation and then you open right back up.
I mean, I learned a lot. I mean, just doing that deal. Remember, it's just myself, my one lawyer, and like 5 of their lawyers and the VPs, and you learn what I learned the most in that. What I learned the most in that deal was I knew more than them. When we were doing the deal, I knew more about the business, how the business runs, and the financials. I knew way more than they did. I mean, they were like, they didn't know anything. They didn't even know what they were doing.
They're just corporate guys trying to get a deal done.
And
This is successful. Go get it. Yeah.
the gentleman that they brought, the gentleman that approached me was the guy they should have kept because he knew the business very well. He came from the body shop business, his family, so he had biggest knowledge of how my business ran. Well, they removed him from the whole deal, and they decided to AAA wanted to negotiate the deal, which is fine. It didn't bother me. My manager that worked for me, his name is Jason O'Neill. I say his name because he's a good friend of mine still. He was my manager, right? And so when I sold the business, Jason went with them, right? He was part of the deal, right? Jason's like the director now. He's their top guy, one of their top guys. And he learned a lot. I mean, Jason pretty much learned everything from me in regards to how to run the business, the structure, the financials, and.
So was it a different name, or did you?
I kept the name in the deal because they were trying to cut back on what the business was originally really worth. We decided to they allowed me to keep the name of the business.
So you get to keep the name, and you get a big chunk of money, and then only 12 months a non-disclosure. Wow. I would love to sign that deal. Couldn't sign it fast enough.
Because of my deal with this deal with AAA, even because Jason, I'm almost positive that they decided to change the way they're doing deals after that.
Yeah, non-disclosure, 12 months. You get a vacation, you get a plan. Yeah.
And what I learned that whole entire time that I need to be busy because 12 months of not doing anything was very hard.
Yeah, what'd you do? What'd you do during those 12 months?
To be honest with you, I sold the business. And you would think that you got all this money. I went to depression right away, the following week because I had nothing to do. Exactly. My whole life that I had
Purpose is gone.
Got up and was gone. I mean, from one day to another, and it just hit me like a week later, and it's like
I hear that a lot. I've had family members own businesses and. They feel like their identity is no longer there. It's a real thing.
It's a real thing.
Yeah.
It's a real thing. Like people think money and all these things are going to make you happy after it. No, you'd be surprised how, and you can read about it. There's articles about men that like people that just go through just straight depression in regards to like they just give up their whole world for some money. And so
doesn't hurt. I mean, 7 figures isn't that bad, though.
Yeah, but still, it's
Did you buy any of your family members anything, or did you?
Just my wife and my kids.
Yeah. What'd you buy? Was there anything like special? You're like,
no, not really. We did vacationing. I bought a truck, and I had cars and stuff. So we already had assets when we sold the business. So it wasn't like the business kind of gave us a lot. It just gave us a lot of money just to mess around. We already had a lot. We already had our own house. We had a nice house. We had all new cars already, and it just gave us something extra. But what it did was it took away what I wanted to do. It took away my daily routine is what it took away from me. And so my ex-wife decided so she worked. So I played the home role man, I'm gonna tell you something right now. I tell any father this. Listen, being a stay-at-home parent is a hard job. When you got 2 kids going to school, got to get up in the morning, make them their breakfast, whatever, get them off to school. Then you got to pick one up and pick the other one up. You got to make them lunch and get them ready, get them off to sports. And man, I was tired. By the time I was exhausted by the end of the day. And I was like, I don't even know how you do this. And I was good at that. I did that for a while, but then it got to the point like, you know what, I wanted to open up a business again. I really needed to do that. I was driving myself crazy being at home and not being active, and I couldn't do anything. I couldn't do anything. I just had to just pretty much sit home, and I tried to keep myself busy running around town and doing all crazy stuff, and then I decided to open up a business again, and then this opportunity came up in Folsom where they had an old fire station that had been vacant for like 15, 20 years. Had been vacant. Another repair shop had tried to attempt to be in there, and I had looked at this property prior to me selling in my El Dorado Hills location, and I didn't think it was going to work. Smaller, 3,500 square foot building, 1,800 square foot shop. I went from an 8,000 square foot building, 8 lifts, alignment rack, 10 staff. And I said to myself, I said, man, I don't think it's going to work. And I went to depression again because of the worry that it wasn't going to work. And I said, okay, you know what? We're just going to do this. We opened it up, and I tried to implement what my success was in El Dorado Hills into this location. Didn't work at all. At all. It couldn't work because we were just too small. There's not enough parking, and we had to figure out a way to get the cars in and out faster. So I decided to just like scale back the type of work that we're doing. So which is where I told you I was working for this guy named Dave Baker, and I remember him teaching me about the level of work your shop should take on. Because I don't have the square footage, I couldn't take on engine jobs and full-on transmission like we were doing in El Dorado Hills. And so we decided to just give up the custom work, give up the catastrophic engine failure problems. We gave all that up, and we just focused on just maintenance and repair. I mean, we focused on it. Then we went from paper, we decided to transition to digital. That was a whole nother learning curve for the company. We had to transition. Now, mind you, I'm the one that's learning too. So I went from everything being handwritten and everything being pushed around through the shop to we're going to go digital. Digital inspection, digital report, digital customer texting. We went everything digital, no paper. And that took us, and I say us is because I have my younger, I have a young staff. I'm the older of the whole staff. Everybody in my staff is in their 30s. I'm almost 50. So, and I have this good crew of guys that I have there. But in the beginning, just transitioning with them in regards to paper to digital was a huge transition for us. And the company thrived. When we did that, I think my best year in El Dorado Hills was 10 employees, 7 technicians, 3 advisors.
Yeah, a lot of overhead.
A lot of overhead.
Yeah.
1.6. Now I have this small building. I have 4 technicians, 2 advisors, a young cleanup kid. $3 million.
Wow. So the engine job's a problem with those. It's so extensive. Like on the exotic cars, you got to pull everything out, and it's just a headache.
I make more profit doing 4 full brake jobs on 4 Rovers than I do an engine job, and I can get them done in one day.
Yep. That was gonna be my big point. When you take an engine out, that could be a week. That could be a whole process of all these different things going on. Whereas brake, okay, hey, you're done. You're done within an hour, 2 hours. Okay, let's get the next guy in here. So that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
And then me as a business, I'm married to the car for the rest of the time. So every time something happens with the car, the customer thinks that, oh, you worked on the motor, it should be covered. And we had to learn to just don't get me wrong, we get an overwhelming amount of demand for our business. If you ever came to Fort Knox on any given day, the parking lot's both full, front to back, both sides. And it got to the point that the fire department came there and said, hey, you guys have to make room because this is becoming a safety issue where there's no room to get in and out of this building if there was a fire or something. And so we have to now we have to work the schedule. Just so many different things that we have to do. Now we have to we got on a schedule. We have to get on a strict schedule.
It's a good problem though, right?
Very good problem to have.
Yeah.
Super strict schedule, and we're a very, very disciplined company. Strict schedule. Then we decided to, another thing that we decided to do, we had to figure out how to get ourselves off the phone. The phone calls.
Yes.
The time on the phone was a long, drawn-out process for us. That's why we went digital, where we actually can just text the customer or send them a full digital report. And and they're able to ask questions. You know, I tell any customer, you can call us if you need to call us, but everything's on the paperwork. It's pretty much, I'm talking about, you can have your girlfriend that doesn't pretty much know anything about cars, and she can actually read this whole report and kind of just get an understanding of what we're doing and why we're charging.
And so what's primarily it's European cars, right?
European.
Do you do exotics too?
I do exotics as well.
Okay, what is your bread and butter? Sounds like Range Rover, right? I always hear they're breaking down like crazy. They look great though.
My bread and butter.
Like, what's the worst car? Like, straight, like, what's a car you will never buy from being in your business?
Is it because of the owner or the actual car?
The actual car.
The actual car. I think the worst car, honestly, is probably a BMW.
Really?
Yeah.
And I'm a through and through BMW. I went to BMW school and everything, and it's like, it's just not how it used to be. Like, and I feel sad because some of these customers that come to, the ones that I don't like them are my good friends with these super expensive BMWs. And like, you know, I'm turning around and say, yo, it's like $9,000 to fix this problem. And like, oh my gosh, I said, well, I know it's like 15 at the dealership. But, and these are like normal repairs for these cars. It's like, I mean, at this point, why would you even want to buy a BMW? Like, I'm like, and I love the way they look, and it's different for me. You know, I own a repair shop, so I can buy a BMW, and it can be a money pit, and I can have my guys working all day long. But for the average customer, the average person that they're relying on this car to be a day-to-day, either for themselves or their wives, or I don't know, man. It's just, I mean, it's good for business. I mean, I tell anybody it's great for business. But if you asked me like, hey, I want to buy my girlfriend a car, what do you think? Probably a Porsche Macan or some Porsche. Believe it or not, I'm telling you to buy a more expensive car because that car they're just built better.
Well, I feel like Mercedes, BMW, Range Rovers, if you don't buy the extended warranty or a warranty with it, it's like you're asking for trouble. Like for me, when there's 5,000 miles left on any of those cars that I have, it is getting sold before my warranty's up because I know I've been on the other end where it's been like 5,000. I'll tell you a story about I had a Jag XJL. Like the big one, the big boys. Sick. I loved it. Not a lot of people had them. As later on, I'm like, I know why not a lot of people had them. At 62,000 miles, the motor blows. Complete.
The timing chain.
Complete engine failure. The car, gosh, I bought it for like 70,000 or 68,000. They said your car's worth 22,000. Like 2 years later, yeah. But your motor to fix it was going to be $38,000. So yeah, it's crazy. And then what I got really lucky. So when I bought the car, I signed for an extended warranty, and I had forgot. I was excited about the car. I just didn't think about it. So I ended up having an extended warranty, but because the motor was so expensive, they had to finagle like a couple things. I knew someone. I used to have a fight promotion. I'd always give the technicians and the managers free tickets because I knew I would need them someday, you know. But yeah, it went from 68,000, something like that, to 22,000 in 3 years. And my motor was worth almost double what the value of the car was. So I will never buy a Jag, but I loved it. It was a great car, but
they're nice when they're under warranty.
Yeah.
And even myself, like, you know, I own the shop, right? And you'd be surprised. Like, I mean, I own the shop and I know what cars not to buy. Like, and I own the shop. Like, you know, I want to buy a Range Rover, but I want to buy a brand new one. Brand new, 0 miles. I want to be the customer. I want to go to the dealership, give me a loaner. Like, that's where I'm at in regards to like my career because.
And you have a shop, so that should be. Yeah.
But the thing is, like, you know, it's like, you ever seen the shoemaker? He's walking around with flip-flops because he don't have time to fix his own shoes. The same thing happens with my own cars. I have to bring my cars somewhere else. Like, I have a 2021 Jeep. It's been at the dealership for 6 months because of a turbo. For 6 months, my car's been at the dealership I haven't drove it the whole summer.
And you could probably fix it in a week.
Oh no, I would never attempt to even touch that thing. I'm like, no, we won't even touch that.
And so, what kind of car? What's the most exotic cars ever rolled through your dealership?
Well,
not dealership, but
Cullinan. I have Cullinans come in.
So what's that? Is that a
Rolls Royce SUV?
Oh yeah.
I've had a couple of those. Lamborghini Urus. I've had a bunch of McLarens. Every Lamborghini on the road, I've had them come in there.
Because there's not a lot of places. We're in the Sacramento area. I know the Salerno Motorsports. Ben, he's been great to me. But there's not. I know there's one downtown. Sacramento, Dave's something, or I forget.
The big players in the
That's it,
European
yeah.
cars. I mean, I'm sorry. Let's say exotic. It'll be we do, and I'm not even gonna say I'm a big player, but I have a pretty market share of those cars that come through the shop. Mo at Diamond does a lot of exotics, and Mo's a good friend of mine. He does his thing over there, doing a lot of customization. And then you have Ben Salerno who does, But see, I won't get into either one of what those two guys do. First things first, I don't like holding those cars hostage. Like, I'm a smart, when it comes to exotics, we'll say we'll get a Huracan for an oil change. He's on the schedule. We know he's coming in. My technician's already signed, so we know what technician's going to get it. He drops it off that morning. He is picking it up that day. Yeah, we're going to charge you $700-800, but or whatever, $1,000, but you're going to get your car back that day. And you'd be surprised how majority of those customers appreciate that they can get their car back instead of having their car somewhere for 2 months. They're exotic. We have cars that come in and we got to order a special order part. They say it's 4 months out. Come get your car. Take it home. I'll call you when it comes in. Like, even if it was broken down, I'll tow it to their house. I'd rather be in your garage until we're ready for it than for it to be sitting in my parking lot. We do a lot of older cars, a lot of older Porsches, a lot of older Volkswagen. But again, I'm very selective. They have to be fully restored, or else I won't touch it. If you're asking me to be part of a restoration, I won't touch it. But if it's fully restored, we will continue to maintain the car. And we have a list. Now, that's another thing we have. We have a list. So you would have to get in the list so we can take the car on, because we're only taking on like 1 or 2 of those cars at a time. As one leaves, we'll call the customer, hey, we're ready. You ready to bring your car in? And they'll get their car in. We have to be that way, because before you know it, I'll have too many of these old cars. I mean, and they're all pristine older cars, but that's not the image that I have for the business. I work on mostly all late model stuff, but I will work on some classic stuff for some certain customers that want us to make sure that we can maintain the car and keep it pristine, and we'll do that. I mean, that's as far as we'll go, but we'll never see us working on like. Our window of a lot of the cars that we work on is maybe 12 years, and that's about it. Anything farther back than that, we don't want to touch it. Demographically, where the business sits, we don't have that issue.
No, it sounds like downsizing has worked for you. It sounds like one of the main things. It sort of clicked in my head is sort of like when you walk by a club that has a line outside versus a club that doesn't. Well, I want to go in and grab a drink, but I'd rather go to the one that people want to be a part of,
Yeah.
So that's one of those things when someone has to wait in line, it's always like, okay, there's a reason why people are waiting in line for this. So that's amazing. One thing I did want to ask you, you said you went to BMW right away, kind of a thing, right? This was was this in Miami or was this in New York, New Jersey? New
York, New Jersey. Then when I went into Miami, that's where I pursued it even heavier.
What made you go to BMW? Was there something there? Was it someone you knew?
Just out of all the models at the time, BMW was like a very, 3 series. There was only 3. They had 3 series, 5 series, 7 series. That's it. 3 models. That's all they had. And it was easier to break into that market than it was to get into like Mercedes-Benz or Porsche. I mean, I could have did Hondas and Toyotas, but when I started working on BMWs, where I felt as though like they were so advanced in the technology. So when I went to school and all the theory that I learned, what I really learned was that the Germans were very, very heavy into like very advanced in technology. Yeah. And you know how they say the Germans design it, the Asians perfect it, and that's how it works, right? So, but the Germans were so advanced in their technology where I was like I was so fascinated with it, the computers and the electronics and the CAN bus, and I decided to work for them because they were harder to work for, and 2, they were paid a lot more. So when you work for BMW, I mean, $15 for Honda Civic, whatever, you can pay $35, $40 for BMW working on those cars. So I stayed with them. And I was very good. I mean, I was a very, very good BMW technician. I was very, very good. Even to this day, I have people call me from like Florida and Chicago. Hey, I have this problem with this car. Can you help me out with it? What I got going on? I'm a little bit out of it now because I haven't really been wrenching for the last maybe like 6 years. I haven't really physically worked.
Do you miss it at all, or do you?
What I miss is I don't miss it for business. I miss it for pleasure. Like, I remember when you're in the garage with your friends, you got some basic little toolkit and you guys are trying to do motor mounts and you guys are just figuring it out. That's what I love the most about being a technician or a mechanic, where we had to figure out how to get it done, at your house, or something like that. And that's what I miss the most, hanging out with my friends and drinking and doing that. in regards to it being a business for me, I had to really understand that it is a business. You know, it was a business. It wasn't like it took away the fun for me because I made it a business.
So what kind of cars when you were growing up? What cars did you work on? Like for me, I had a Mustang 5.0 when I was 16. I thought I was just the baddest thing ever, but it was easy to work on. We would pull the motor, put a supercharger on it, then we'd blow the transmission because the supercharger was 12 pounds of boost on an AOD. And I just remember I could see my transmission like go in the air. But it was fun because we had, and I'm not pretending to be a car guy. I kind of watched and helped out. But we had like a little car club group, but those were fun, like 5.0s.
I remember those
Mustangs
cars.
were
Fox bodies. And
I've had like 8 or 9 of them, and I had a, God, I sold it. I bought an exotic car and I had a Saleen with 27,000 miles on it. It was, a 1989 Saleen. And I know that thing's going to be like the 65 Camaro, whatever the sought after one is. I know I'm going to kick myself in 10 years because that's going to be the car, because the 5.0s, everyone abused those things. They romped, and they're 15, 16 years old, majority of those guys. But what were you into? What was your first car, like your car club? Like the Bug and...
No, like the Golfs.
Oh, yeah.
Rabbits. Those were I was into. The BMW 325 was a cool car. M3, when it first came out, was like really, really cool. Like I was in love with this car when it first came out in the 80s.
Have you ever had an M5? Have you ever had one of those? God, those are so... It's the first car I've ever had to grab both hands on the steering wheel.
What year?
Gosh, I think it was like a 2015, something like that. It was crazy.
I had a 2003 M5 full dining car, and that car was fast. It's a 5.0.
What's the fastest car? What is the that you've owned that puts you that Tesla you were telling about? I mean, everyone hates on Teslas, right? I was that guy. I'm like, oh, Tesla electric. Like, it's not a car. I have one in my garage now, and it's the best car I've ever driven. I'm the guy that I'm talking about it now. Like, everyone hates that Tesla guy, and I was that guy, and now I'm the Tesla guy. I mean,
I was the same guy too.
Yeah.
I'm on my third one, and out of all the cars that I do have, my favorite is the Tesla. It's just, you cannot beat the response, and I'm a very aggressive driver. I'm a super aggressive driver. And it's just the response of the car, the handling, and the sound system is amazing. Then I like it super quiet in the car too. Sometimes I don't even turn the radio on. It's just so quiet in the car. You don't hear nothing. I love the technology behind it. We just got certified to actually do Tesla at our shop, so we can actually do repairs and stuff on them now. And we're gonna 2024 is where we're gonna actually try to open the door and focus, trying to get more Teslas into the building.
I was gonna ask you if you were gonna try to shift focus there, because it sounded like you were very into it. I'm like, yeah, why not make that part of the business?
We are, because what happens is everybody has to understand. We're transitioning to electric car world, and either I'm gonna just get into it now and just take the full learning curve, financial learning curve. And my guys are kind of scared of it. And I keep trying to tell my guys, I'm like, listen, guys, like every other product line that we brought into the building that we have to take a learning curve on, Tesla's just going to be another one.
And I hear they're not having a Tesla now, and I have a bunch of friends that I've like made them get them. I'm like, you got to get this. Is they drive it, and my buddy is really mechanical and all that, and he's like, brakes was easy. He did it. It's not that hard as anyone thinks. Everything just pops out. Yep. But what I like about it is, so I'll give you this example. So I'm going to the Bay Area. I'm running late, didn't have a full charge. I get there, I'm out of battery. So I'm at my parents' place, and we're meeting. I think it was like my niece was in like a powder puff game, right? So I got to drop off the Tesla. 3 hours in traffic. It was like a Saturday. And I get in my dad's car. He's 75, and he's the best. We got to get him definitely on the show. But he's one of those guys that's like, "What's up, fool?" Or like, he loves Tupac, and he's 75, one of those OGs. And he bought this like 900 horsepower Porsche GTS, just all motor, right? And so the Tesla, if you guys don't know, people are listening, it is so easy to drive. You barely touch it, and then it regenerates, and you don't have to hit the brake. Yep. So going that from 3 hours to this behemoth of a engine. Like it was impossible to drive. I felt like I was like 13 years old stealing a car. Like I couldn't even drive it. It was just so stressful and so much horsepower.
Yeah.
And it almost feels like it's a job to drive. When you have a Tesla, it's just calm. It's easy. It's not stressful. Like when everyone's like, oh, you know, I need to ride here, or like it's usually out of my way. I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm not going downtown. I'm not going to Folsom.
Yeah.
And the Tesla, I'm like, yeah, I'll go. Yeah. But I hear they're not that hard to work on. They're not. They make it more difficult than it is. Everyone makes it sound like it is.
The batteries have a 15-year, 150,000-mile warranty. That, the controller, the drive motors, I mean, that's something we're not even going to touch. It's covered in the warranty, but we'll do the brakes, tires, suspension, control arm. Like, we just had a P100D. Out of nowhere, the arm just broke. And I was like, and when we look at the arm, they there was an updated arm for us, and they showed us, the updated arm versus the other arm was a big difference. I mean, they beefed up the arm because it was just, and if you know Teslas very well, I try to explain to the customer, yeah, Teslas are nice cars, but you have to remember, like, I try to tell people, like, a Tesla you buy it for a purpose. It's not like you buy a Ferrari to be flashy, or to me, a Tesla is a tool that I use to get through my day-to-day, me being busy. You know, I don't have time to stop at a gas station. If I want to, you know, I just hit the auto drive and I'm over here messing around, looking at emails or whatever. It serves a purpose for me because I'm busy. Another thing I like about it is, you know, it's very, like I said, it's a very efficient car. I have a 16-year-old son. He loves to drive it. I mean, he knows this thing is crazy fast, and he loves to drive this thing. When I let him drive me around in it if I'm working and he's hanging out with me, I let him drive, and I think the car is it's a very safe car. I mean, safe in regards to just day-to-day driving. I'm not too convinced about if it can handle an accident because I've seen how flimsy the body panels can be, but again, I mean, since the car slows down really fast.
And it's so heavy too.
Yeah, it's very heavy, and you know, this is my second. So I have a Plaid. I drive a Model S Plaid. This is my second one. My first one was a 2022 when they first launched this car. I bought one, and you know, a customer brought me his Plaid, and he was going to take it to the track. So he wanted me to put racing brake pads because the thing sucked. The brakes sucked really bad. And I mean, I fell in love with it. I ordered one right then and there. And then I ordered it, and I had it, and I'm driving it, and then within like 5,000 miles, like the TPMS lights are coming on. I'm like, what's going on with the TPMS lights? I'm like, what? And I finally get home, and the next day the tire's flat, and I said, okay. I made him tow it to Les Schwab, and the guy was like, yo, you need 4 tires. I'm like,
and that's not cheap.
I'm like, what do you mean 4 tires? I said, the car only has like the traction, the treads are all there. No, when you go look at the tire really good, because that car is so powerful, what it did was it separated the cap, like a truck tire cap. It separated that from the actual tire. So what happened, it created these bubbles, and 3 out of the 4, I was like,
yeah, that's the only thing wrong with the Tesla. Everyone's like, what's the catch? I mean, the catch is the tires.
Yep. So
like
now,
10,000, right? 10,000 miles in some of them?
5.
Jeez.
And at the time when this happened, I bought the thing when COVID, you know, COVID was out and all this stuff. And I remember, like, I couldn't even get tires because it was a national back order. So I had to buy like some Falcons, some cheap tires until I get the Pirellis for it. I mean, I have the Michelin Pilots. And
that's not cheap. That's like $2,800 for a set of 4, right?
A set of 4 right now is like $2,400, something like $2,400.
But 5,000 miles.
5,000 miles. So after I got through that hurdle of the first one, then I bought this Falcons, and then my daughter, you know, she drives, and I let her borrow the car, and she punctured the sidewall on one of them like right away. And then when I go back to get tires, they were on that. I had to leave the car parked for like a month. I couldn't get no tires at all for this car, and so once I got the tires on the car, then I said, you know what, let me just chill out a little bit, you know, with the tires. And if I drive it conservatively, I can get probably 10, 15,000 miles on it, you know, easily.
Yeah, I just had a tire go out. Yeah. So same thing.
Yeah. Like, so if I take it easy now, so I learned to just be more conservative with the car in regards to the tires, because what I was doing, I was launching it, and this is something that, you know, is taking everybody in a ride in it. And I mean, I went through those tires quick. And after that, so now I'm, like I said, now I'm on my second Tesla, and I take it very easy. Like I said, it's just like I said, it's an all around quiet, great car. I love the full autonomous feature that it has. I mean, I don't know if you have had to been in one of those when you hit the.
We just had it the other day. Yeah, we had our buddy take us for a ride, and he goes, "Okay, here we go," and he just takes his hands off the wheel. We were like, "This is crazy," and I mean, it corrected itself a couple different times to like, let's get over here. I was amazed at how well it was able to turn. Like that was one of my favorites. It got to the stop sign and it turned like and accelerated. Like, whoa, this is cool. This thing is going. It's not just driving. It's going quickly. It's getting to the spot you need to go.
People don't understand the technology behind the autonomous driving per vehicle. It's self-teaching. The car is self-teaching itself. Yeah. So it's not, it's programmed, but it's every single day you're using, this thing is teaching itself how to drive. It's like, and that's scary to me. Like this thing is like constantly evolving this car, teaching itself. And it's like, and like I said, when I first got the full autonomous, because I remember they got because people were paying, I mean, I paid so much money for the full autonomous, and then at the end, it got even more ridiculous, and they weren't releasing it. People were getting pissed off. You're paying all this money and you guys are not releasing it. It was just glorified cruise control. That's all it really was. And so now they have this full feature now, and it's like, and even now this kind of just, for me, they always kind of like punishing me, like, oh, we're gonna shut you off for 30 days because it warned you, like if you're doing it too much, you're not paying attention. Yeah. This thing has to be constantly watching you, because like I'll be driving and the minute I start putting my head down, this thing knows that I'm not looking. Because it has like a little camera right there. So
I was going to say, it's probably got like an eye sensor type thing.
It has one there. And so when I decided to drive it one day, I had it on autopilot and I put my thumb on it. Just to see what happens, right?
Yeah.
And this thing immediately kills the whole system.
Wow.
Kills it.
Because they have that thing where you can put like a
little weight,
a clasp on the steering wheel, so it seems like you're on there. I'm sure they figured that out. Your eyes
is looking at your eyes, looking at you dead in your eyes, watching where your eyes are looking.
Yeah, because I remember reading something where there's all these Tesla deaths with the autopilot.
I was just going to bring that up, yeah.
But, I mean, if I'm going to go out, it's kind of a cool way to go out. Right. You know what I mean?
I was going to bring up the guy that they caught on the Bay Bridge. He was not only not driving the car, he was in the back seat. And so, yeah, he literally had Tesla chauffeuring him across the Bay Bridge. And I guess he would keep going back and forth and stuff like that. And people are like, there's some guy on the Bay Bridge who's just sitting in the back of his seat. And he got pulled over for it, and he had to drive to the courthouse, and of course he showed up in the back seat while the Tesla drove it there. It's one of my favorite stories. He was just like, whatever, dude. He's like, I think he said, I'm not a very good driver, but Tesla's a lot better, so what am I gonna do, but it is one of those things that does frighten me, because you're relying on technology to tell you when to stop, and sometimes like I think one of the things they're saying is, if it's behind a car that has like reflective panels and things like that, it doesn't quite read it as fast. They're, crashing into the back of like big trucks.
In 2024.
Yeah.
So I remember when I got the car, I had a 2022. So it knows you already had one, right? So it sends me this notice before I purchased the car. They wanted me to be aware that it's not using camera technology anymore. It's using like some type of sonar. That's what it says. It's using some acoustic thing now to know. But if you see the screen on this thing, I mean, this thing sees people, and I mean, this thing sees everything. Yeah. It's like it sees. I mean, from far away too. So, like, if you're coming out of a parking spot or something and you can't see, this thing can see the cars like down the street.
That's amazing.
Like, coming through. It's like, I don't know how it does it being in a parking spot, but.
Well, the thing is, everyone asks me, I'm a car guy, and I tell everyone it handled better than any Mercedes I've ever had. It's faster than any exotic car I've ever had. It is a really, really good car. Like, no matter what political things you have with Elon or all that, I don't really care about all that. I just care about this is a really good car. I mean, it's I don't really talk about cars that much, and I talk about more about my Tesla, and I tell everyone, you got to get one.
It's funny, right? So I have a Tesla, right? But then you open up my garage, I got a 70 Chevelle SS. I got my Ferrari in the garage, and I have a Jeep diesel, and people are like, well, you drive electric cars. Like, I got a mix of everything,
But you'd rather drive your Tesla if you're going somewhere, right?
By far,
yeah.
My Tesla.
Like even driving your Ferrari here, it's like a lot of work. It's loud.
The shift is loud. I gotta make sure that no cars are gonna run into it. The Ferrari, I got the Ferrari. Was one of my dream car, to get a Ferrari. I worked very, very hard to get it, and it's like, and I have it, and I don't drive it that much. I drive it maybe once in a while. I'll drive the vehicle, and but like I said, more. I'd rather drive my Jeep, but I'd rather just drive my Jeep more, my Tesla. Like, I'm kind of more low key like that. The reason the Ferrari, I have it more for like, car events that I go to, where just to draw up more business and just to be around that group of guys. And
yeah, that was me. I remember I was in New York. My family's from Long Island, and so I went to FAO Sorts, and I don't know if you remember the little red Ferrari go-kart.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was 5-6 years old, that's what I wanted from Santa every year. I would sit up on the stairs and just be pissed. I'm like, I thought I was good. Like I would dream about, and it was like $20,000, like $30,000 for this go-kart, but I believed in Santa, and I'm like, I want this Ferrari. And that was the first purchase I ever made. I talked about in the last episode. I don't even like saying the name because it's like kind of douchey, you know how it is. You want to be low key, but I always wanted one from that day. And when I sold a couple of my stores, I went down to Southern California. We worked out a deal, and I flew straight there one way. Got a flight within an hour, and I'm in this Ferrari, and I'm shaking. I'm like, I can't believe I got this, And then the more and more you drive it, it's like, man, this is a lot of work because they just want to go. You put in first gear, the gated one we're talking about, and it just wants to go. It's not very easy. It's fast, and everyone wants to race you. And what year is that? It's like, so a lot of the time, you were here when I had it. I just kept it in the garage. I didn't want to deal with it. It just is a lot. Yeah.
People think like, oh, you have this car, and I'm like,
it was fun for like 6 months, and then you're like, all right,
cool.
yeah,
it's cool. Yeah, it's cool. But I'm gonna go out and go to my Tesla.
Yeah. Tesla's by far the best car I've ever had.
My Tesla. Like I said, the reason why I have a mix of cars, I like going jeeping in the wintertime, and in the summer I go to Rubicon. So I do a lot of different things. I go to these muscle car events, so I have a Chevelle for that.
Does it have a 454? It's got a
big block 454. It's like pretty stout cars, blue with white rally stripes. It's carbureted.
Beautiful American muscle right there.
5-speed Tremec. I have the whole thing fully. Everything is done. And that's one of my favorite cars. That's another, it's a very classic, clean car. It's very reliable. It's never left me anywhere. I've been driving around for a few years now, and like I said, that's one of my favorite cars. Then I have my Jeep. I have a Rubicon diesel, which is a very, very rare diesel that I have, and I built that out to go. I've gone to like Death Valley with it, and I've gone to like the Rubicon. I've gone to like Moab, doing all these things, trying to get this Jeep, trying to get this outdoor life going. But what I find myself is like, I drive the Tesla a lot because I'm mostly working. I'm working, and I'm driving back and forth to downtown and back in Sacramento and Elk Grove, and it's like, I have to charge the car every day. You have a charging station, I'm assuming, in your house, right?
Yeah, I got there, but I got one of the ones with free supercharging. Yes. So I bought it, and a week later they opened up right across the street at Topgolf.
Oh yes,
the full station. So I've used mine like once.
Oh really?
Because I just go across the street.
I plug mine in as soon as I get home.
Yeah.
Plug it in, go upstairs.
And I don't go. I work from home, so I go to the Bay Area a lot, see my family. Yes. So I'll plug it in then, and then my parents just got a. My mom got one of those X-Drive BMW SUVs.
Yes.
Wow, those are awesome.
Very nice.
But the cool thing is now they have a charger. So I just go in, and it's another free charger for me. It's not free for them, but it's free for me. Yes. Yeah, I just plug it in. I'm like, this is great. But
so you have the little
adapter
that you put in, and you can charge your...
But mine, I supercharge mine all the time. I'm getting like 175 miles maybe.
On a full charge?
Yeah, well, 20 to 80. You're supposed to keep it like the 20 to 80. Still not that great, but, it's free.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
It's free.
So one thing I'm curious, you said you went from New York to Florida, then you came out here to kind of learn how people in California would be, selling to them and stuff. What do you find is the biggest difference from the three areas as far as dealing with people and cars?
Quality of people. So, New York is very survival. Everybody's living on survival mode. That's what people think. People think people in New York are just grumpy. No, they're just in survival mode. Like, they're just trying to survive. You've been up in the city.
I've been there too. It's crazy.
Yeah,
so
expensive. Buildings are so big. Yeah, everything's doing stuff.
And you get this, like, people understand you build this demeanor only because you're surviving. And New York is a jungle. It's a jungle. It's a concrete jungle. People don't understand how you have to survive in New York. And, that's why people are very short with people and they don't want to be friendly with people. So then I go to Florida and everybody's just like more laid back, Spanish music. They want to eat. They want to go on the boat. Everybody's partying, having a good time. And, then I did that. And then you come to California, everybody's just like, I don't know, California's just, I don't know.
Yes.
Because
that's why I asked. Yeah.
It's just like,
it should put it in 3 parts because it's like you can't explain California in one sentence. There's Southern California, and then
Central,
there's Orange County, and then Central California.
They're 3
is the
different
worst.
countries, basically. Yeah, they're completely different.
I truly believe in that. It's like, I come here and don't get me wrong, like if you ask me, like people go to me, if you can live anywhere in the world, where would you live? I said, I live in El Dorado Hills. I love where I live.
It's beautiful out here.
I said, I live by Folsom Lake. I said, my son leaves the garage door open. I'd be leaving my car keys in the car. I'm blessed that way, where I live. But when you ask me like California, it's just like, I tell anybody, if you have a really, really good work ethic and you're very disciplined, you will be very successful in California financially. Because there's not, a lot of people aren't like that in California. There's few and far in between. And I tell people this. I tell people, I see it right now. I own 4 houses, and then, I have this guy that comes there. He's a Guatemalan guy, right? He's only been here for 3 years in California, right? He comes, he picks up the scrap metal. Right? He's showing me his house that he's building in Guatemala, like this 5,000 square foot house. He's showing me. And he's showing me the house that he bought here in the United States. And I'm saying to myself, and I'm telling my guys, look, this guy just got here 3 years. He's learning how to speak English, too. He's working hard to speak English. And I'm trying to tell my guys, listen, guys, I wish some of you guys had the same drive that this man right here has. I said, he's dealing with garbage. I mean, like, you guys are too good to deal with this. But I tell people, like, California has so much to offer if you work for it. Because if you're sitting there and you're doing even 15% better than the guy next to you, you're going to make more money than him because you're just doing a lot better. And I just tell people, like, there's so much money, so much wealth, so much opportunity in the state where I see people that just, the local people that live here they're just not doing anything with it.
We're a little too spoiled here. Yeah. We've gotten used to being able to go to the beach, to go to the mountains, to do whatever we want to do at any point in time. We have a lot of things that we have access to. We're probably one of the most spoiled in the country, and it's a good and bad thing, you know what I mean? Because we've grown up in an area where we probably haven't really had, a lot of the same things that like you say, New York is a struggle. I didn't feel like growing up in the peninsula was a struggle. You know what I mean? Like, listen, there were things that I had to struggle with day to day, getting picked on by kids. No, but I'm saying, like, when I was in Daly City, it was a lot tougher. Getting picked on by kids that are older than you and things like that, obviously. But, like, I don't think I ever ran into a gang, I didn't have any friends that were ever in any gangs. Like,
no, that's not true. Remember Half Moon Bay?
Well, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, no, it's true.
Well, we were out there, and we were from the peninsula, the Bay Area peninsula, and great place to grow up in the 80s and 90s. And we go out to Half Moon Bay, and there were some gangs out there, and we're like about to have a bonfire. We're eating burritos, and we had our one Hispanic friend who is the most whitewashed Hispanic guy you've ever met, and he comes out, and this guy goes, "What set you claim?" And he's like, he's like, "We're from San Mateo," or and then he pulled out a gun, right?
Yeah.
He pulled out a gun.
I'm trying to remember what he said, though. He did claim something. El Norte. He said Norte or something like that. We're like, okay, we know.
But not our friend. Our friend's
no,
like, I'm from San Mateo.
No, the guy that was asking him said something about Norte, and I'm like, yeah, that's that known like gang around here. Let's get going, guys.
But other than that, like, we never had any issues. No. But I feel like the Bay, there is that stress, though, because it's so expensive to live there. It's getting that New York feel.
It's even San Francisco's like that. It's so expensive. So what happens? You're just in survival when you're trying to survive.
Like, just property tax has to be 6 figures with some of these people. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people bag on Sacramento, right? So I've lived in the East Coast, went to grad school in Virginia, lived in Southern California. I've been all over, and I've looked at places to live, right? I'm like, I want to try something new. I've been here 15 years, but nothing compares to the weather, the people, even the airport. The Sacramento airport is the best. You ever go to SFO, LAX? It's the worst.
Horrible.
And you can go to Tahoe in 2 hours. You can go to San Francisco an hour and a half. You can go to Napa. It's
Very
not that
centrally
bad.
located,
Like I really like it here, and I don't think I've looked at other properties, maybe like a I don't know, like a lake house somewhere, but I would just Airbnb it for a month.
Man, I literally dropped the ball, right? So in 2000, when was COVID? 2020,
2021,
right?
yeah.
So at the time, right, I'm looking at this piece of property. It was up by Shasta up there, right? It was like
Love Shasta.
it was on 15 acres, 385.
Wow.
The problem was you can only access it through the summertime.
Yep.
You need a snowcat in the
Yep.
wintertime to get up there because it's like 5 miles from the road. The main road to the house is 5 miles, and I didn't, we just didn't buy it for the reason. And I kick myself every day, like, why didn't I buy that piece of property? Because I could have bought a snowcat, I could have just bought one.
But you don't even want to go up there during
love
snow.
the wintertime.
You're a New York guy.
Yeah, I love snow. Like
It's nice to go to snow. It's not nice to be stuck in the snow.
I hate the snow. I'm a tropical guy. I don't like any snow. My family's from Long Island, so they hate snow. They hate it's so cold. They're like, I never want to go back to that. My mom, I was out there. They had a snowstorm. It was like December. I went outside. We had seen some play or something with a couple of my buddies when I was living out there in the East Coast, and my nose was throbbing. It was so cold, and I called my mom. I'm like, how did you live here? And she starts laughing. She's like, why do you think we left? But I grew up, my mom wants nothing to do with snow. She's like, she lived there, 19, 20 years. She's like, I never want to experience snow again. So that's interesting. You like the snow.
I like, so because I've lived hectic, I say hectic 30 years, like the last 30 years, hectic, right? So like right now, what I realize is like, I would love to go to the cabin and just shut my phone off and leave me alone and I, with my girlfriend and just get some logs and get a bunch of food and sit in there for a couple of days. I don't have to be outside in the cold weather to be in the cold, but just to be in this, go outside, breathe some cold air like that. I mean, I do miss it. Is it my preference to permanently live in a place like that? No, absolutely not. But to visit or to have a place to go and
you just want calmness.
Yes, like for me, it's like like that's what I want more than anything else. Like just because of the hectic life that I live, like. People are like, oh, it's cold and it's this and it's that. Yeah, you know what? It's right. You're absolutely right. But you know what? I'm going to be indoors.
Yeah. I'm going to be indoors with a nice fire with,
a nice girlfriend.
Little bourbon on rocks. Yeah. Internal warming.
And people are like, oh my God, I don't know how you like going to Tahoe. I'm like, it doesn't bother me to go to Tahoe. Like, I'm not going to live there. Like I have my son now. He's into snowboarding.
That's my favorite place. You ever been to Edgewood? Yes. That is that restaurant. It is my favorite place. Anyone says anywhere in the world, what's your favorite place? South Lake Tahoe in the summer. Edgewood, beautiful. Right on the restaurant. I mean, it is. But to get real estate there, I've looked. That's like my dream. Now it's my new Ferrari, right? It's like $5 million.
No, now look again now because now that more and more people are being called back to work. The price, I mean, a lot of property went up for sale in Tahoe. A lot of it went up for sale. And so for me, like if I bought a piece of property in Tahoe, like I have a friend of mine, and I wanted to, see, for me, I would want to buy maybe with 3 other people. Because, it's the season thing. I prefer to go there more in the wintertime than the summertime. And so it's like, it'll work out for me. Maybe the guy that I'm buying a piece of property with doesn't want to go up there in the wintertime.
Yeah, right.
There you go.
You just want to go there in the wintertime.
Creating your own timeshare here, yeah.
So I'm just creating between 4 guys, and then 2 for me, I'm kind of OCD. I want my place nice and clean, so you got to find the right mix of people to have a property that where it makes it easier for 4 people.
Well, let me know. I do not want to go to Tahoe.
You got your non-winter guy right here.
Yeah, because like I said, I have myself and I have my buddy Jerome. He owns a condo in Heavenly, and I said, yo, Jerome, sell the condo. We'll get like a nice
get a place,
4-bedroom small cabin.
But I'd want to get it on the water. Like that's my dream. But man, that's just it's expensive. I looked at it as $5, $6 million, $20 million.
I mean, you can be on the water, or you could be like on the street by the water, looking at the water. I mean, it's just all about. Where
so I screwed myself on my 40th birthday. I got a place right on the water on South Lake Tahoe.
You spoiled yourself right away.
And it was literally, you walk out the deck and the beach is there. Mm-hmm. And now, like I said, it's like my new Ferrari. Like this is my new goal. Mm-hmm. But man, my goal just got a whole lot more expensive.
Yeah.
You know, but it's there's nowhere like you look at lake houses in like Georgia and Texas. There's all these sketchy snakes, and you know, like we haven't made here. Like the weather, you can attest. Even Miami, that humidity is terrible.
Yeah. Way
In
fewer
New York,
hurricanes out
it's
here.
never good. It's either
Yeah, it's
cold,
just cold
or hot.
humid or
Yeah.
hot, yeah.
And here it's like,
Perfect weather.
it's not bad right now.
And I
Yeah.
can deal with like the, you know, we have like the summertime, it gets hot, you know, whatever, and it's fine for me. I'm okay with the weather for the couple of weeks of heat. And like I said, it's like for me, it's like now, like, you know, I want to get with like a, you know, group. I have some friends of mine. We're doing some other business deals and stuff, and it's like, you know, right now we're trying to buy, you know, we're trying to get into this real estate. We're trying to do the real estate stuff right now. It's like, you know, and obviously you guys met my girlfriend. She's I'm trying to get her involved.
Oh, don't worry, we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, don't think you were going to get away with this one, buddy. Don't think you were going to
coming.
sneak that one past us.
I've been thinking about it for 20 minutes.
Yeah, right. I'm like, oh man, I just can't wait.
Yeah,
He's getting all these softball questions right now. Just wait, buddy. Now, actually, we should mention that this is the first time we have had a couple on here at different times. So
Yeah.
we've already had the female half of the couple. Now we have the male half of the couple. But yeah.
We'll talk about her.
Now he's like, oh crap, what did I get myself into? No, you're good.
She's so like I said, so she knows, like, you know, and like, you know, my you guys know my girlfriend, right? So I mean, she's like, so we should start buying properties. I'm like, okay, you know what? And then so we look at properties, and I'm a numbers guy, you know, it's just numbers, you know, and it has to make sense. And I just showed her how, hey, we got to make sure the cap rate's correct. You know, we're going to either break even or we're going to take a little bit of a loss. And I explained to her, I said, you know, don't think that because we're coming out of pocket, like, you know, we're buying a property and then we're coming out of the property $400 a month. I said, that's a positive for us. She said, what do you mean? I go, well, we need to write it off. Those $400, we're going to write them off at the end of the year.
And it's going to gain.
But it's going to gain value in the property. So you got to look at it. I said, real estate is more of a long game. You know, people that buying, I know some people that buy flips and do all these flips, but if you want to be like a property owner and you want to buy property at a good price, you gotta play the long game a little bit. You might want to take a little bit of a loss, you know, but the long game is a better game because the way real estate is now, it's like you're never going to lose in real estate unless you're going to buy, you know, some place where the water's going to run out, like Folsom. People don't believe that, but I do. So the city's going to run out of water, and people don't believe that, but I truly believe that. And so, like I said, like so my girlfriend, like I said, so she's like, you know, so I have like 2 other cars on order. I have 2 brand new cars coming in next month. She's like, I don't understand why you keep buying cars. I said, you know.
What cars do you have coming in?
So I bought a 2024. It's called the Last Call Ram TRX.
What is it?
It is the last Ram 1500 truck with the Hellcat drivetrain. Oh, okay. So it's called the Last Call. I had one of those. I got an allocation for one because you had to get allocation for one. So I ended up getting an allocation for one, and then
what does something like that cost?
$135,000
for a Ram truck. Jeez, but that's the Hellcat, and what's the
800 horses? Like,
what's the one? There's one like bigger than a Hellcat. It's
That's
like
the one.
But there's another one like just that in a normal charge.
So that is called the Demon.
The Demon, yeah.
Yeah,
The
the
Hellcat.
Demon.
Just the next one would be
Yes.
just Satan or
right.
you're in hell.
They have another one. They do have another one coming out because you know that Chrysler. You know, people don't know this about, and I'm just like they were producing these high emission vehicles, right? You know, and they were paying a hefty fine, and they were still producing them. They ran the numbers. Hey, you know, we make more profit selling cars than we're actually paying the fine.
So they're getting fined producing these huge horsepower cars.
And then now they got to stop. So they have this new, you know, electric thing that's kind of supposed to come out. They say it's supposed to be faster than the Plaid. So their new Charger, Hellcat, whatever.
So you're paying $135,000 for a Ram truck. Wow. But it's going to be worth, because you're a car guy.
It's the last one, the last production run of this vehicle they're going to make. They're numbered, and you know, it's a black on black on blacks. All this, I mean, it comes fully loaded with every bell and whistle.
So you just sit that in your garage, and that's more of a.
I'll drive it here and there because I really don't have a truck. And then, like I said, my girlfriend wants to get into property, so you know, I'm going to need something to do something with.
And what's another car you have coming in?
I ordered this car I ordered in 2020. So I ordered this car in 2021. I ordered a BMW M3 Competition all-wheel drive. I ordered specifically. This is my first BMW that I ever ordered that I picked every option for. First one ever in my life. And I ordered this car in 2021, and I've been waiting. And then production just keeps changing. So it went from a 21 to a 22, and then from a 22 Now they gave me a 23, and then from 20 now I get a 2024.
And why'd you order that one?
Because so this car, I've always been an M3 guy for years. I've always been an M3 guy. So this car here that I ordered frozen blue. It's like the flat blue, and I ordered with red interior, and I put every single carbon fiber option you can think of that BMW even came out with, down to the brakes and everything. And the reason why I ordered this car with a tune and downpipes, it'll pull away from the Plaid off the line.
Wow.
And I said, you know what? If I'm gonna get this fast car, I'm gonna get something like this. And I had one before. I had a 2018 M3 CS, and it was a very limited production car. And I remember this. This is a true story, right? So before I had my Ferrari, my friends invited me to a car drive, and I took my son with me. My son was maybe this is a couple of years back, so my son had to be maybe 13 years old, right? And we pull up to this event, and there's only about Lamborghinis and Ferraris and McLarens, and we're the only ones in an M3. And my son's like, "Oh, Dad, they're gonna gap us, man." I said, "Son," So we went on this ride we started off in Sacramento, and then we ended up all the way in Amador County, and worked all the way back to Beachhead Deli in El Dorado Hills. And I was the last guy starting, and I was the first guy back. I passed them, every single one of them, one by one. I picked them off. They had to wave me by. And my son, I wish my son to tell you, my son from that day forward has a lot of respect for me when it comes to driving. Because I told my son, I said, listen, those cars are all faster, but none of those guys know how to drive. None of them do. And I've been dealing with race cars and high performance cars for so many years so now, and what I did wrong now, my son is 16, he's learning how to drive now. I've got him to go-kart racing younger. And now that I put him behind the wheel, he thinks he's go-kart racing.
Yep.
And I'm scared of that.
Yeah.
I'm scared. Like I said, he's a very good, aggressive driver. But I tried to explain to my son, I said, Jonah, this is like real life. Like, you hit somebody, you're gonna hurt somebody.
Yeah.
And what do you think of McLarens? So what is your take on the? Because
everybody has one. Everybody.
So what is a car? So I have my Tesla, and I've always had a garage car. I sold my garage car, right? What is something that's
so you should get?
Yeah.
GT3 RS.
What is that?
911 GT3 RS.
But I feel like, so it's Porsche, right? But I feel like, I'm getting older, but I feel like that's like the old man's car is a Porsche.
No. Not that one.
Okay.
That is the real.
Because I was looking at the GT, the Mercedes GT.
Very nice
GTS.
The GT.
Yeah.
The two-door one.
The two-door that looks like the bat. Yeah. So is that a good car to get?
Do you know that's a mid-engine car?
Is it?
Yeah, because you should have the nose is so big.
Yeah.
But if you open up the hood, the engine's all the way up into the
Really? So is that a good car, or is that
yes, a very good car.
Okay, because that was the one I was looking at. I was like, maybe that. Yeah.
Very fast.
Because I want something, the Tesla's just not.
It's wide.
It's not doing enough for me.
It's a wide.
Yeah, I want something just obnoxious with the pipes and the whole.
Yes.
Just loud, but you think the Porsche.
Reliability, yes, all day long.
So that GT is going to be in the shop a bunch.
I'm scared of Mercedes because, man, they're pretty proud of their car. I mean, and I've seen we've had a couple of them come to the shop, S63s and stuff like that. And
I don't like those. I feel there's a lot of issues with those, but the GT I've heard really good things about.
It's just the car in general, because the caliber of cars that you're buying. I mean, the price tag's always going to follow every bit of that car, and it's just. Like I said, I have not seen them ever. We've done a couple of oil changes with a couple of them, and that's all pretty much we get them in because people don't really drive them as much. But I do love the car. Don't get me wrong. And as big as I've sat in this car, I feel comfortable.
Yeah, how tall are you?
6'3".
Yeah, I'm 6'4". So that's another thing. The Ferrari, I was fine in. I was shocked.
How do you drive Ferrari with your feet?
Yeah, I got size 14. It was dude. I used to hit both of them.
Struggle. And you said you had a manual, and it was super close together.
Yeah, it was definitely a hard lesson right away. But you get used to it. Yeah. But I love that. I had no issues with it. Nothing.
Yeah, because even me, I struggle with driving a gated car because the pedals are so close.
But a friend of the family was like, "You better buy gated." You have to.
Buy gated. It's the best.
And I ended up buying it for a certain amount, and I sold it for 10% more, 9 years later. So
worth it.
Yeah.
No, you did good.
Worth it.
Okay, so now we got to go to the good stuff. Yes. So, if you guys didn't know, our listeners, our relationship expert Alicia Justice was on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. What the hell is that like? I mean, you're dating a relationship expert. It's probably a good thing, right? Because
It's pretty good. It's not. It's.
But what's a fight like? Well, when you get a fight with her, she already knows what you're going to say, right? Or does she know what you're thinking? Or,
so
I can't imagine that.
She's got prepared stuff. Yeah, she knows
when
what
it comes
she's
to
done.
fighting with her. Truthfully, like, I'm an avoidant type of person. Like, so, like, when it gets to the point where it's like we're gonna get into an argument, I shut down and I walk away. And she's more of a pursuer because she's a relationship coach. She wants to fix everything that's in front of her, and so that causes a little tension between me and her, where I have to kind of like let her know, like, listen, like, I don't want to talk about this right now because we're gonna get into this argument, and I'm probably gonna say something I'm not gonna be able to take back. So I try to kind of get her to kind of just back down, and she's really good at it. Like, she's very good at explaining herself, where a lot of women are just not like that. She's I can compare my ex-wife to Alicia. It's just like this night and day difference, where my ex-wife never talked to me at all about nothing. She left me to figure it out. Where Alicia is very vocal, and I like the fact that she does tell me, probably not everything, but I mean, I like the fact that she does tell me what she likes, what she enjoys, and like she's and I can tell you this is a woman who adores me. And when I tell you adores me, she adores me. She's always worried about what I eat, always trying to make sure I go to the gym, making sure I get a good night's sleep, she always puts tents on my face, and she's always taking care of me, doing my laundry. Her and my son have a good relationship, and she's and think, Brian, I'm dating a woman who's a relationship coach right now. She's getting involved with a guy, a single man and I have a teenage son, 2 men. She doesn't have any kids, and she only has a sister, and her, and so to bring her within our home, it was like a
big step. It
was a big step for me. 1, because of my son, and 2 was like, I use like her and my son's bonding, right? Where I can be like, well, Jonah, you got to get along with her because she's my girlfriend. I didn't do that. I kind of like let her kind of talk with him and him talk with her. And like, she does anything for him. Like, he wants to go to Costco, she'll take him to Costco. And he wants this food, and she does whatever he wants. Whatever he wants, she'll do it for him, And it's very hard to find a woman like that, where you're bringing a woman into your home and you have a kid, and she's getting along with your son. And that was the most important part for me, because through my divorce and everything I had, the only thing I had left at the very end, and you'd be surprised, like, I have my home and everything, but believe it or not, I cared about none of that stuff. I cared more about just having my son with me. So for her to be part of his life was very, very important for me. And Alicia's like really, really good. She's a really good woman. She's a very big-hearted woman. Sometimes she could be a little, again, she's a coach, and she could be a little overbearing, but for the most part, her intentions are just very genuinely that she does love me, she adores me, and that's what I love about her. She's just good like that. She's a good person. She can be hard on this, and just because she's a relationship coach doesn't mean that she's a know-it-all of everything. Remember, she's in a relationship with me too, so now she's trying to figure how I like things, and remember, I'm Latino, and she's a white girl, and she's never really been around a Latino man before, and we do things differently than what she's accustomed to. So, and she's very willing to like learn and adapt to that, to those things that I'm very hard about, but like I said, being in a relationship with Alicia is something new for me. I got divorced, and I wanted to stay single, for a little bit, and then I met Alicia, and just one thing led to another, and just she's, like I said, she's a very good person. Like, I mean, I'm lucky to have her. I got lucky that I met her and to have her, and and she's doing her men's clothing thing, and that's working out for her good. Day by day, she's getting better and better.
I love that. Are you obviously a client, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's the best.
She does some things for me, and we just came back from a Friendsgiving, and she did like a little outfit for me, and I got nothing but compliments for it.
Because you're a big guy, and I'm a big guy, and nothing fits us right. So when you go with Alicia, if you guys in the Sacramento area, they basically they measure everything, your shoulders, your arms, and so when you see something you like, you can just circle it, and then it comes fitted. So every shirt that comes in fits perfect.
And the good thing about that, like, she measured. So I've been measured before. I went to Nordstrom, measured for a suit, but they measure you like on another different level. Like, they measure you like 5 different spots in your torso, so they can actually make the shirt like
contours.
Sometimes I don't like it though, because sometimes like they'll come back 3 months later and it'll be Christmas time. They're like, Your stomach got a little bigger. This got a little bigger. It's
Sure,
like an accountability, But that's so interesting because I'm the opposite way. When I have an issue in a relationship, I want to fix it right away. And that's something I've had to learn. We talked about Alicia. We talked about it when she was on the show. And sometimes you just need to be left alone. Sometimes you just, and that's hard for me. I want to fix it. I'm a fixer.
I think it's better to just let the dust settle a little bit, because once the emotions rise a little bit, I just feel that somebody between the two is not going to receive the information. So what I try to do with her is I want to make sure that with both of us, when we're actually trying to engage in something that we really need to talk about, I don't want it to be, like that me and her are kind of like mad at each other or something like that. We're just both fire at each other. Somebody has to be the water, or somebody has to be able to diffuse the whole entire argument.
I like that you use the exact same terms that she used here, the fire and the water. She said one of you is fire, one of you's got to be water. So either she's rubbing off on you or you rubbed off on her. Wait a minute.
And I can be like,
wait a minute.
Yeah, she's
let's.
After hours of
you're in a relationship with someone, things are going to happen. Yeah.
No, but like I said, she's very realistic about, just how things really are in a relationship. The thing is, she's a woman, right? But Alicia has this talent where she can be pretty brutal on men, in regards to the realities of what it really is. Because it's hard for a man to accept that from a woman when you're hearing it, you're being a pussy, man. You gotta kind of you gotta man up a little bit. It's kind of hard for for men to hear that from her. But I respect that from her, because she's got it very, she's very, very straightforward. What you get is, you get the truth from her. There's no fluff. And I have to tell her kind of tone that down sometimes and say, men are not as tough as you think.
Well, I feel men need that nowadays. I feel like as a single guy now, it's like I feel like guys are too passive, and I see all these relationships. In a relationship, someone's got to be the man, right? And I see so many of these females. Like their guy isn't being the man. He's not stepping up. He's not doing what a man's supposed to do. So the girl's got to do it. Yeah. And now it's creating this alpha female, and that's a whole nother. And I'm like, everyone's like, oh, you're a male chauvinist and all that. But I don't feel like when you're being a man that you need to degrade your woman. But also, as in a relationship, you got to let the man be a man. It's okay. Like, it's not weak. It's not, and you don't belittle your woman, but it's okay to be strong. It's okay to be a leader, and it's really tough because I see all these relationships with the dude that's really quiet and gets quieter and quieter, and but yeah, in the relationship, someone's got to be the man.
That's a lot of women in general. They get a lot, and this is a lot of women. I don't know. I feel as though a lot of women feel like if they raise their voice towards a man, it's like they're trying to dominate the conversation. I try to explain to him. I say, all you're doing is making him resent you. I said, no man wants to be verbally abused by any woman. I mean, and no woman wants to be abused by no man. It's vice versa. But I'm saying, it's harder to see women when they're yelling at a man because of their past traumas. And I see a lot of guys that I see struggle with that. Even me, I'm very sensitive to, and I'm a big tough guy, but what I'm very sensitive to is being yelled at by a woman. I mean, I'm being super transparent with you about it. Out of anything, I can deal with a lot of things, but when you raise your voice, I mean, it's I just get taken back, and I shut down because I remember my father was a yeller, so my father would yell, and I'd be like, I was going to the room, be quiet, and like I said, and a lot of more men need to start stepping up and telling women from the beginning,
don't talk to me that way.
You're not going to put up with. I mean, your conversations with this girl should be. People are like, oh, they want to talk about they want to do all these things aggressive, which you should be talking to her about what you're not going to put up with. Yeah, both you get that out of the way right at the beginning. Hey, I need you to tell me what how do you deal with stress? How do you react when you get into a fight? How are you gonna react to this? And those are the conversations I had with Alicia when I first met her. How do you handle conflict? Alicia knows that. I told Alicia, I said, it took her time to understand where if she sees me quiet, it's because I'm just I don't want to make the problem worse. And and she realizes that, Alicia sometimes, she can raise her voice to me, whatever, just in the moment, whatever. And then she just, let me just calm down a little bit, And I really wish, I see a lot of my friends that are just married and they're miserable in their relationships, and I try to explain to them, I say, you guys should have, you guys need to talk about this, And some of them are so scared and don't want to hear their, and I'm guilty of it too. You know, when I was married, what I was guilty of was where are you okay? And she told me, and I was fine. I never dug deep into finding out what the problems were in our marriage, you know. And then, and like I said, you know, and I tell Alicia the same thing, you know, this I heard this saying on TikTok or something, you know, it's just uncommunicated expectations. You know, people don't tell the partner what's the problem, and they expect you to figure out. And then when you don't figure out, they're done. Oh, I'm out of here. You know,
I feel like everyone across the board is communication. That's everything. And I feel we talked about it with her. Is I have a buddy that talks with his girl. They have a meeting, like a board meeting. He calls it once a week, and they check in. What are you lacking in? What is it? And it's really important, or like a date night or something to connect.
I did hear the podcast, and I did hear you talking about that. Yeah. That is a good thing to do.
But it's hard. Life happens, you know.
When you did say that, just so you know, and you did say that, and it did stick with me. So I try to now with Alicia, you know, I try to check in with her. You know, everything we're good, and me and her are pretty good for the most part. Me and her are really, really good. Like I said, I have a phenomenal relationship with her. Like, I mean, just as like a.
How long you guys been?
We're gonna be going on 5 months now.
Oh, you guys are in the honeymoon stage.
I don't think it's the honeymoon stage, man. Because man, me and her, like, it's not the honeymoon stage because from the beginning, like, expectations were set. This is what this boundaries. Like, you know, I explained to her, like, listen, like. I told Alicia, I said, Alicia, you know, you're coming into my relationship. I said, remember, I have my own home, my own business. I'm financially stable. I have my cars. I have my insurance. I have life. I said, I have my son. I'm like, when you're coming into this relationship, like, what are you doing for me? Like, what are you bringing to this relationship? And I explained to her, like, you know, she said, oh, I'm doing your laundry and I'm doing this and I'm doing. I said, Alicia, listen. I want you to think about, and this is the conversation I had with her. I said, I want you to think about this long and hard. I said, I want you to tell me what you bring to the relationship that doesn't involve me having to where I don't have to, where I can't pay somebody to do what you're doing for me. And I told her the same thing. I said, laundry, can have somebody come do my laundry. Yep. Have somebody come clean my house. Have somebody cook my food. If anything, I can have them come have sex with me. I go, these are the things that I can do. I said, but what are you bringing? And then she understands. I said, you know, so I'm going to tell you what Alicia brings to me. Alicia brings me comfort. She brings me peace. She brings me closure. She brings me, like, security.
Stability.
I have a good girlfriend behind my back. Always got my back. Like, those are the things that I can't buy. I can't buy somebody to have my back for free. You know, you can't buy that. And
I mean, you can. They're called security.
So when it comes to like, you know, like I can buy myself whatever I want. And I told Alicia, I said, you know, it's not about. I need you to bring to me what I know I just can't purchase. You know, and that's, you know, I can't purchase her being good to me and her loving me and her, like, those are the things you just can't buy that, you know? And so she has a clear understanding of what she's bringing into our relationship. And the same thing goes with her. Now, you remember something. This is a woman who has her own house, has her own career, has her own money. So what am I bringing to the table that she can't do for herself? So and believe it or not, that's a breath of fresh air for me where I'm dating a woman who actually has her life together. Because it's hard to find a woman like that. She has her whole life together, no kids, no drama. Like, she's got good money, she's got a good career, she's got multiple careers. It's like, you can't find that. That's like a gem that I'm finding. You know, I have a gem, and then for me and her to have an understanding about our future. You know, I'm not getting any younger. She's not getting any younger either. You know, it's like, and you'd be surprised to kind of, I know you say we're in the honeymoon stage, but we have some very serious, like, me and Alicia are more involved than what people think. Like, me and her have some very, very serious, we have very important things going on with our relationship, and we have, like, these goals that we're trying to meet. Like, and we've only been together like 5 months, but I feel like I've known this woman for 20 years.
Yeah.
Like,
but that's what happens when you have open, honest communication with someone who's also not. One thing that is different about Alicia, she's not quite as emotional when it comes down to things. You know, she's very logical and pragmatic, and she's a bit of a go-getter too. That's one of those things that she is driven, and so that's one of those things that is different. You know, but also I think it can provide good things because she understands what it's like to have to work for her money and things like that. So. No, I think you have a gem there, big time, you know, and like I say, it's tough because she knows all the tricks, but she also knows what she's looking for. And so I think that's great. And everything you guys are saying about this open communication and knowing what's up, that's huge, you know, and that is the big thing that's lacking. You said you went from before with your ex where there was no communication. I mean, and that's just so hard because you're having to constantly read things and kind of walking on eggshells because I don't know what's setting you off. When you know what sets someone off, you can avoid that, and you can also realize, okay, this is what's setting you off. Let's talk about it. And so it sounds like you guys have a very firm, like, solid relationship here. It sounds like things are going well. So congratulations on that, first of all. And yeah, like, we've known Alicia a while. She's a great person. We love her to death. She did a great job on the podcast here. I've had a few people saying, like, yeah, she was good. I like some of the things she was saying.
Very well polished, and yeah.
She's got her stuff together. And that's a person you don't have a problem with bringing around your children. You know what I mean? Because you know, like, this is what I'm getting here. So, and that's what I'm saying. That's tough. I've dated single moms before, and I always tell them, like, we gotta, you know, like, know each other, but, like, you can't just bring me around these kids right away, right? Because I'm one of those people, like, I used to run a daycare, so kids are, like, bonded to me. One of those things, they just tend to react to me. They want to hang out with me, talk to me. I'm kind of a jackass. I walk in, like, it's one of those things that, it is one of those things when they see that you're acting kind of like silly, you know, oh, okay, I can talk with this guy, I can fool around with him. Wait a minute.
Wait a minute. I still can't believe you led a daycare for years, too, right?
I ran about 100 students every day for about 8 years.
You have no kids of your own?
No, that's one of the main reasons why. There is no better birth control than taking care of other people's kids. I can't tell you how many times I saw two great parents with, like, one well-adjusted, well-behaved kid and one absolute monster, right? And, like, and more often than not, it's nothing that they can do about it. It's like, you know, we're giving him love, we're giving him attention. He's just out of control, you know, because he has too much love and attention, you know. So I got that. But I'll tell you, one of the best things about every day was at 6 o'clock being able to be like, all right, see you later, you know, like, I can go do my thing now. It's a full-time job being a dad. Like you said, that stay-at-home dad stuff, you don't have time off. You're there when they're sick. You have to nurse them. You got to be there to help put them in bed when they're, you know, having trouble sleeping. They're going to come knocking at your door. I don't have to worried about any of that. But yeah, it was tough. And one thing that I was going to get at too, one thing that we were bringing up was, you know, you're talking about, like, bad habits and things like that, right? The way people communicate. And what I find is we start developing our habits based on those things, right? Like, I had a kid who would throw tantrums all the time. Why would he throw tantrums? Because that's what worked for him. That was the only way he could get attention. So I told him, you don't have to do this. Like, we could just hang out. You don't, like, I want to give you positive attention. I want to keep giving you negative attention. So we had to break that cycle. When he would throw a tantrum, I'd have to ignore him, right? I'd have to just be like, sorry, I can't talk to you right now. We'll talk later. But that's the thing, is, like, people get into these ways and they feel that they have to do certain things. These habits get created. But like you say, when you're communicating from the get-go, when you're open and honest, when you're saying, this is what I want, this is what I need, and you're consistent with it, it makes things a lot easier, I assume, than having to read someone and be like, hey, what's going on, honey? What's the matter? Let me get you flowers. I don't even know what I did wrong.
She don't like flowers. I thought so here it is, right? So I would send her roses. And I sent her one time, we got into a little bit of an argument in the morning at my house, whatever, and I went to work and I said, okay, I sent her roses to my house. And then she goes to me, this is the type of woman that I'm with, right? This is the woman that I'm in love with, right? I don't like roses. You don't have to send me roses. I'm like, well, you could have saved me the money that I sent you all the roses. Right?
Roses aren't cheap.
Yeah, she's like, I don't like roses. And the thing, like, with her, like she's just not the normal, like.
Well, that's an easy fix, right? Like, oh, just get roses. Yeah.
She likes, like, me and her are always holding hands. She likes public affection. She does all the things that we love the most. But, like, when it comes to, like, she's just very different. When I tell you different, oh my God, like, super different.
Yeah.
Like, I've never been with anybody like her. And then we have, like, this coach kind of coaching us. So we have a coach coaching us as a couple.
Wow. Yeah.
Right? So you guys know. So we have a coach coaching me and Alicia as a couple. And he, like, so when I first started engaging with Alicia, like, all my friends know her, right? I didn't know Alicia, but we have common friends. And then, you know what they told me? Says, the only guy that I can ever see taming her would be you. I'm like, when you hear that a couple, I'm like, what am I getting myself into? What are you telling me? Like, something I don't know about this woman?
I mean, I've known her for 5-6 years. I've met maybe her boyfriend, one of her boyfriends, really quick, but it wasn't a very, like, you know, I just always seen her by herself. Yeah. You know, but she had this big presence, like she was, like, preparing for something.
I do think it's funny they said the word tame, you know, like, you're the only one who could tame her. Like, she's this wild cat that you have to, like she's some fucking stallion out in the field that you had to ride around a little bit and, like, smack her around.
She's like a centaur.
You tied her up to a tree out in the rain, you know, like, what the fuck, bro? But
she can be like, and it's just her character. Like, I know her mother, I know her father. Like, her mom's come to my home. Yeah, her mom spent, like, a week at my house. Like, she didn't stay late, she stayed at my house. Like, you know, it's like, I'm saying, for the short amount of time, I know her father, I know her mother. They call me on my phone. I talk to her dad, like, and it's like, And even her dad's a really great guy, smart guy. I like smart people. Like, you know, and her dad didn't know anything about me. All he knows is, oh, you know, she's going out with this dark-skinned Puerto Rican guy with a bunch of tattoos, and he doesn't really know. So he actually spent an hour talking with me on the phone, and we talked about a lot of things, you know. And he realized that, okay, well, she's actually not dating somebody stupid. You know, he knows what he's doing. And like I said, with Alicia, like, you know, she's just a go-getter, and then sometimes, you know, she doesn't know how to turn it off. It's like, you know, like, I'm the type of guy, like, I come home, I want to relax, you know. Oh no, she comes home and we got chores and we got things to do, and let's do yoga, let's go to the gym, and so, you know, I'm tired. Like, I'm just tired talking about this right now.
Just want to relax, babe.
Yes.
Jeez.
And it's like I said, Alicia's, like I said, I'm glad she was here because I saw the whole podcast show. And she, like I said, she's very, very smart. I'm trying to tell, like, you know, like, I want to reach out to her, some coaching. Like, she's very, very, very smart. Like, the good thing you're going to get about her, because she is a woman, you know, she's a woman, she's going to give you a woman's perspective. She's going to give you actually the unfiltered woman's perspective, where you might cry, but it's the truth. At the end of the day, you know, you got to respect the truth. Because, I mean, she actually is going to tell you, like, you know, stop being a punk, man. You got to kind of man up a little bit.
But here's the thing: is she won't coach women.
Yeah,
which is ironic.
Women
you know,
can't. You know, I asked her the same reason why she don't coach women. And some of her friends reach out to her and all that stuff, but I think she's just more of a connection with men. I don't even know why she's just more of a connection with men, where she feels as though, like, you know, she can tell a man, like, yo, like, this is what women really want.
She feels like a woman, when we were talking about women in general, just more emotional. You know,
she knows women are emotional.
I said from the get-go.
As tough as Alicia, she's emotional too. She's like, one thing that I get from Alicia that the rest of the world. Like, so this is one of the reasons why I'm in love with this woman. One of the reasons I see a side of Alicia that I don't think anybody has ever got to see. Like, she's just tough. I see her like in public, tough, and, you know, just pointing, telling people what. And she can be like that with me and when I hug her, like, if I hold her and I hug her, totally different woman. She's a submissive woman. And what I mean, like, I'm not saying submissive, like, she's just she becomes my partner as a woman. That whole alpha thing that she has going on with this man, she has that, but with me, she doesn't. She sits down, you know, and
she lets you be the man.
Yeah, she lets me be the man.
She has real tenderness too. I mean, that's a big thing.
And she becomes. I mean, literally, and I told you, like, she can be very, very alpha as a woman, very alpha, very, you know, very direct. But when it comes to me, she's very a soft side. I'm trying to tell you, like, if you saw this soft side of Alicia, you wouldn't even think it was her. She's just a totally different woman, very submissive to me. She loves me. She wants to take care of me. Like, she's just this very feminine woman in my presence, which I love the most about her. Because I love the fact that she's very tough out there, because then that way guys won't talk to her. But, you know, so guys won't even bother her. But when it comes to my personal time with just me and her one-on-one at my house, she softens up and she becomes the woman, you know, she comes the woman. And I told her, I said, we have two men in this house. I don't need a third. We don't need a third one here. We need somebody.
We don't need another swinging dick coming in here trying to tell us what to do.
Yeah, we don't need another.
We got enough testosterone leading the way, guys.
And you know who you look like when he laughs? It's who's that actor that does the comedian that does the Shaquille O'Neal? He does the Shaq. He does the
I know who you're talking about.
The Jay-Z.
I know who it is. The interpreter does the voices. I know who you're talking about.
Dude, you remind me.
I can't think of his name right. He was on Mad TV back in the day, right?
He's hilarious. He did the Jay-Z. He does the DMX.
Yes,
yeah, he did.
Has anyone said that before?
I could see a little bit in the face, but
yes.
Has anyone said that before to you?
No, not really. You know, like, I'm letting my hair, my facial hair grow, right?
Yeah.
And my hair. I normally keep it very low. So Alicia's like, oh, you should let your hair grow now. Right? So what people have told me I look like when I was, and even when I was younger, like Vin Diesel. Like, you know, I have this Vin Diesel look to my face. Other than that, I'm like, okay, well, that's about it. But I know the guy you're talking about, because I do know the comedian.
Oh, that was the most hilarious one.
Yes, and I can't see what you're saying about in regards to, like, looking like him, but that guy has a great impersonation.
Ari Spears.
Okay.
Yes.
If you guys haven't seen that, it is the
he's
best.
ridiculous.
I don't think he's done much other than that, but
no, but if there was a Puerto Rican Ari Spears, we're looking at him right here. So I love it. How's your Shaq impression? Can you do one over here? There is one thing I did want to ask you. Going from New York to Florida to here, California, I feel, has a lot of good cuisine, but there are some things that you just can't quite get that are as good in New York and Florida. Is there anything that you miss?
Pizza.
Food.
Yeah.
Food-wise.
California sucks.
Yeah.
Interesting.
All the way through the board. Well, unless you fine dining, right? But pizza,
Yeah.
New York is pretty good. They have a couple of good pizza. Yeah, New York is probably the best, I think. But and it's funny thing is, like, when I go to, like, a pizza place, right, and people know you didn't. You know how you can tell somebody's from New York? at a pizza place, he'll fold his slice in half.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Everybody knows that. Like,
Yeah.
like, so I go to like a pizza place. I'm like, can I get some garlic powder? They'd be like, for what? Like,
To add flavor to this
you
thing?
you put garlic powder on it. That's an East
delicious,
Coast thing.
yeah.
You know, you put garlic on the pizza. They have it on the table. Like,
So when my mom went to go visit New York with family and stuff like that, on the way home, did we talk about this last time, or who was from New York on our podcast?
I don't know. I'm trying
But my mom would go to the pizza place before she'd go to the airport, get 2 pizzas, and that was her carry-on. And then we would freeze it at home, and we'd have New York pizza night like 2-3 nights, you know, like a week later or like the next night, obviously. But yeah, she would show up.
oh, she would bring it from the East Coast back.
Yeah.
to
Oh,
California.
she would- home,
she
yeah.
would bring, before the airport, she'd go to the pizza place, grab 2 large pizzas, carry them on the plane. And then when we come home, she'd have
That
her
is
2 pizzas.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She would freeze
that's
it
not
and-
the way I'd do it, because I'd come home with maybe a half a pizza left. Like, are you kidding me? I'm gonna.
Well, it's the water, right? That's
Yeah.
what they say.
I don't,
The water.
It's got to be the
Yeah.
water.
There is something definitely about the water in New York. That's
Yeah.
why the bagels are so much
Oh,
better.
yes.
Like they're
Yes. 'Cause
Yeah.
I remember my mom growing up. My mom worked for a flour mill, and they did all the flour for like all the bakeries and the Chinatown and all the Jews, all the bagels, and I remember like it was the water, the bagels. Like the bagels are awesome on the East Coast versus
Yeah.
here.
Or cannolis. Oh, those are the best.
Yeah, you also mentioned New Jersey. I mean, the freaking delis out there. I remember my cousin took me out there up in North, Atlantic Highlands back in the day, and he goes, because at the time I was like, yeah, I like Subway. He's like, no, we're gonna show you what a real sub looks like.
Yes.
And I remember this foul-mouthed Italian guy goes, hey, yeah, come on in. I'll fucking make you guys some sandwiches over here, and putting all this oil and I'm like, why are you putting oil and vinegar on this sandwich? That's gonna make it all
Jersey Mike's
soggy.
does it.
Like, what the hell? And then I ate it. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing, you know? And like, he's just sitting there talking with us. We're like, this guy's connected. I think this guy's connected to people. But there's just something about that, like a New Jersey, like just
The Jersey
freshly
way.
made,
Yeah.
like deli sando. My
The
God.
bread, the bread, the bread, the fresh
Like
bread.
big old roll, yeah, just all sorts of meats, some of the gabagool, the capicola, all that good stuff.
Well, that's the thing the one thing is food's terrible. I mean, it's not terrible here, but the sushi's okay. We got
Sushi's
that.
good
We
here.
got that. We figured
We have
that out.
variety here, and I'll
Yes.
tell you one thing: like there are pockets, because I mean, you go to LA, San Francisco, there are going to be like these new food trucks, like all these random things coming out,
Yes.
the Korean Mexican fusion that you don't see anywhere else, right? So I do feel we have that. At least you have a lot of variety, but yeah, I understand like flavor out here is sometimes lacking compared to other places.
That's the only thing. That's the only thing I can complain about.
I just think because the law's changing now for a lot of. I just feel bad for a lot of these restaurants. $20 an hour minimum. This whole thing. It's gonna affect people. The consumer doesn't understand. Like people are like, oh my God, that's great. I say no. Then you're
The
gonna buy
food's
it's
gonna
be
be
like
cheaper,
a $12 Big Mac, or they're gonna make it something.
That's what I'm just saying. All those prices go up. I don't know why. Why do you think? Because you got to pay your people.
So I had my cheat meal every Sunday night, right? And I'm a Taco Bell guy. So I got nacho Bel Grande. I'm not kidding. A bean burrito, a chicken quesadilla. That's it. And maybe like a Diet Coke, because it makes me feel better when I get a Diet Coke with, all this
you're
other
cutting
shit.
calories,
Yes.
obviously.
It was like $20.
I mean, that was
And I
$8
looked at
last
it.
year.
Yeah, I looked at it, and I'm like, this is like gotta cost maybe $1.50, but then with labor and it's going to be like $1
Don't you
per mild sauce pretty soon.
We grew up with, what do they have, the 59, 79, 99 menu? Remember, you could get like a regular soft taco for like 79 cents, and like now it's like $4. Like dude, like,
And people don't
this is still
understand about
shit
that.
meat. Like it's even worse than it was before back in the day. Like didn't they determine like Taco Bell's beef was only like 25% beef? It's like a bunch of other fillers and stuff, and it's like
I question your character if you buy beef from Taco Bell. It's like my thing.
my man.
If you smoke cigarettes and you eat beef from Taco Bell, I question you.
You have Mexican pizzas. What do you think?
I get vegetarian Mexican pizza, so I don't get beef on it.
What do they have instead?
Beans.
Beans.
Just beans?
Yeah.
Yeah, my daughter does
Ew.
too. My daughter is a vegetarian. She eats like the bean burritos, stuff
Put a
like
little
that.
sour cream on top of
Sour
it,
cream,
but I
yeah.
will not
tomatoes.
eat. I can't do it.
How about
No.
the chicken there? Not even the chicken.
The chicken's a little sketchy too, but it's
not the best, but it's okay.
It's a little plasticky, but
Yeah.
it's like $8 for a quesadilla now, and it's just like what?
It used to be
I'll
like
tell you that-
$2. I remember that. $2 for a quesadilla.
I'll tell you though, a Taco Bell soft taco is one of my comfort foods. Though growing up, that was one of my favorite things. I don't know, it's just
Or
it's
the
there.
double decker.
The double decker needs to come back. That's one of my favorites. The cheesy gordita crunch is the closest thing to that, and that is the. I'm gonna say right now, the cheesy gordita crunch is the best single fast food item in America. Fight me on this.
Well,
Chick-fil-A waffle fries. Get the hell out of here.
I grew up on the East Coast. So it was like for $20, you get 10 burgers and 10 chicken sandwiches at White Castle.
Yeah, White Castle. Yeah.
My mom loved it. My mom loved White Castle.
That's one thing that's never come out here, and I'm not sure why. I feel like there's been a couple, but
It's made it to Vegas. That's as far.
they don't. Yeah, I don't know what that is. In-N-Out, I
kinda
guess, is
taken
kind of the
over.
problem.
Yeah.
But still,
In-N-Out's
White
good.
Castle's different than In-N-Out. They're a totally different thing, you know. And you would think with the Harold and Kumar movies too, you know, that stuff that would suddenly get a little bit more. But
Man, but White Castle, and at least like I say, at least you've never had like a White Castle chicken sandwich or a White Castle burger.
I've never. I get the ones like the frozen ones, and they're terrible. But it's just not the same.
I've never had. I think I did. I think I did have it when I was out there when I was 13. But I don't remember when I was 13.
Yeah,
like
but
what I ate it.
I'm talking about you can eat probably 10 of those things.
Yeah.
But you will live in the bathroom. Like,
Yeah, goes with the
worse than Taco
territory.
Bell.
They give you 10 burgers and a roll of toilet paper. That's
yes.
their.
And so I
Yeah.
remember for $20, it was like $20.
Jeez. All right, we've
20 sandwiches.
we've talked about Ferraris, women,
Food.
food. We've done it all. But we thank you so much for coming. It's been
Thank you guys for
It's been
having me.
really. We've covered everything. It's been a refreshing.
Wait.
podcast.
We got one more thing. Do you have any dogs?
Oh yeah.
No.
Well, then get the fuck out of here. We don't want you, dog hater.
No, it's not, I love dogs. So I'm a Frenchie dog owner, right? And this is a sad story, right? So
Oh
when
no.
when I was going through my divorce, right? I had a French. His name is Louis. I've had him for like a couple of years, right? Taking to work with me and everything. And because I was going through divorce, I went through such depression.
Yeah.
Where I didn't even work. I'm talking about I didn't even go to my business for like a year and a half. I decided to work out. I used to be 315 pounds. I worked out and everything. And I remember I couldn't give enough time to my dog.
Yeah.
And then my ex-wife took her dog and left my dog by himself with me. And I'm like, I thought it was kind of messed up where my dog.
They bonded, yeah.
They bonded. So she took him, and then Louis kind of changed. And then, so I remember when we would travel, I had this family that would always watch Louis when we traveled. It was this family, and they had 2 young little kids, and they would always watch Louis. And I remember it was a nightmare to get her dog watched because she had to pay, but I had somebody always watching my dog. So I reached out to the family. I said, hey, listen, guys, this is what I got. I told them what's going on with the divorce and everything. I go, hey, would you take Louis? Would you take him? Well, how much? No, I don't want. Actually, I want to give him to a good home. And so she'll send me pictures of him like every so often, like, with the kids. And I told her I miss him. And she goes to me, you can come. I said, no, I want to, he can stay. I miss him, but
It's better for him.
He's there. And he's well loved, and I gave it to them as they're good friends of mine. And so I love the dogs, and then I ended up buying 2 Sphinx cats, and then I gave those to a friend of mine. It was I don't have the time for an animal right now.
Yeah.
But I say when and like I told Alicia, I say once Jonah goes away to college and I'm not really working as much anymore, I say I want to get a dog. I want to get and I want to get like a Labradoodle is what I want. Like,
Oh yeah, they're great dogs.
They're great.
I want something like that to have. And she was like, I say I want something more that I can just kind of have and take care of. Because like I said, Alicia don't have no kids. I said maybe you should try a dog first and see what you think about that.
Dogs are the best, man.
Dogs
They
are
are sort of a prep, Okay, some of the things that dogs do, kids aren't quite going to do, but it lets you think, hey, that's going to go in his mouth. We better make sure we put that up higher, Like,
They're way cheaper than kids too.
it is a good practice run.
no.
Send a puppy through a room before you're ever going to bring a kid through, and you'll see all the problems. So
People say that the dogs are just as expensive as kids nowadays, man. The way
Yeah.
you do people have all these things to do for the dogs now, and you go to the vet and they have all these crazy
We
food
pay
and
today. We have a. It's called Poop Squad. They come and pick up the poop from our dogs.
no.
Yeah. They
Is that
come
a
out.
service?
Yeah, they come out every week or
See,
twice
this
a
is
week.
California, so you can make money doing anything.
Yeah, you can pick up shit for it.
Yeah.
And they're all over the place. I mean, see Poop Squad.
He's going all over the place every time we see
So
him.
we have like a side gate, and it's hard to get back there. And
That is so slick.
yeah. So
What do
poop,
they charge? I mean, are they expensive?
it's a couple hundred, like $150 a month.
It's not bad at all.
Yeah, it's great.
What,
you know.
like 10 minutes?
Oh, they're here 5 minutes maybe, and I always look at them like, man, I should do that, but I'm like, nah.
Yeah.
We'll let Poop Squad do it.
I've never heard of that. Wow, that's crazy.
Oh, it's the best.
What did we talk about? Californians being spoiled or something like that?
Oh,
I
yeah,
think
we're
we kind of
definitely
mentioned
spoiled.
that. Like, you have 2 dogs. You have 2 dogs.
Yeah. Well,
But,
yep.
yeah.
All right. Well, we got that covered now. We got dogs.
Now we have it all.
Ferraris,
Now we
women.
got it all. All right.
But thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for
I
having
think
me.
our listeners, they really got a lot out of. They're going to get a lot out of this.
I think so.
And it's those stories of coming from nothing and traveling from the East Coast to the Miami to Sacramento area and creating an empire says a lot about your character, your work ethic, and I feel like a lot of our listeners can learn a lot from it. So we appreciate you coming on, and good luck with the relationship expert.
Thank you.
All right.
Good luck.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.